Welcome to the Gus Alva Perspective, a videocast that is aimed at elevating the notion of abundance and gratitude over the mindset of fear and scarcity, which unfortunately will cripple our overall existence. I thank you for joining us today because the topic that I'd like to touch on today is a very enticing topic. It's one that we all ultimately think about, and that is life longevity. We all want to lead a successful life that is long and rich. Turns out that yesterday there was an interesting report that came out from the American Medical Association, and it specifically spoke about individuals with severe mental illness benefiting greatly from lifestyle interventions, not just from a weight loss perspective, but also from a mental health perspective. Now, that makes a lot of sense to me. I'm a board certified psychiatrist, but I also note that, the things that are applicable along the lines of addressing medical comorbidities certainly also spill over regarding our mental health or mental wellness. Now, the topic that I'd like you to hone in on right now is this whole notion of getting older. As we get older, we should be healthy. And if there's an opportunity of being able to prolong our overall existence, that's not a bad idea. So let's take a look at where we're at right now. Multiple disciplines within medicine have been studying this particular area. They include biology, genetics, medicine, and gerontology, or the study of older individuals. And what we basically accept is that this is a complex mechanism, the concept of aging. And so it's important to identify interventions that might be able to promote longevity. So a very prominent area of research work in the longevity arena is the study of centenarians, meaning people who live to 100 years or more, as well as their families. By examining the genetic makeup of these individuals, researchers are aiming to identify specific genes or gene variants that might be associated with longevity. Now, ultimately, this knowledge might help to contribute to the development of targeted interventions or therapies that might extend healthy life expectancy. Now, it's also very important to note that when we're born, the cells in our body already know that there's going to be an aging process set in place. So scientists also study cellular and molecular mechanisms that drive the aging process. And these include things like DNA damage, again, our blueprint, and the damage that subsequently sets in with this. Within genes, there can be telomeric shortening. So, obviously the genetic material that we operate with, if it shortens, that's a problem. Cellular senescence and oxidative stress are two other areas that are very important, but these also present areas of potential intervention in slowing down or counteracting age-related decline. I don't know if you're aware of this, but it turns out that caloric restriction and dietary interventions have also been extensively studied in longevity research. Now, if you think about fads like, for example, intermittent fasting, the reason for this is that different studies, including rodents like mice or nematodes, which are basically worms, have helped us have an understanding that by having caloric restriction, this could potentially benefit in, being able to modify things so that there is a greater degree of longevity built into the individual. That's really interesting, right? By the way, there's also emerging areas of research in longevity that include interventions that target that cellular senescence, but also inflammaging. Let me share with you, some interesting concepts. So first, cellular senescence is the state of permanent growth and the arrest that cells enter into as they get older. And they contribute to tissue dysfunction and chronic diseases. Now, the opposite side of things is inflammaging, which refers to a chronic low-grade inflammation that accompanies aging and is associated with various age-related diseases. So as you'll note, either one of these, by being able to understand it better, might help us with extending a healthier life expectancy. Now, aside from those biological approaches, It makes sense then that different studies have also shown that certain lifestyle choices, which include regular physical exercise, a healthy diet, stress management, appropriate hydration, adequate sleep, all of these things can positively influence our lifespan and reduce the risk of age-related diseases. So ultimately, this is really important along the lines of our understanding of where we're at. And I feel excited over the research that's being done right now in regards to life longevity approaches, because ultimately we're talking about a wide range of disciplines, different strategies, and as we looked at, not only looking at genetic factors, but cellular mechanisms, and ultimately our goal is extending a healthy life expectancy and improving the overall quality that people have as they get older. And our understanding of these things is very important. One area that I can talk to you a bit more about right now, which is really compelling, is the food choices that we make. And while no single supplement or food can guarantee an increase in life longevity, there are certain substances and dietary choices that have been associated with potential health benefits and a reduction in age-related diseases. Let's explore a few of these right now because they do become very important. You probably have heard a fair amount about omega-3 fatty acids. So omega-3 fatty acids are found in fatty fish. This includes fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. But omega-3s are also found in flaxseed and chia seeds and walnuts. And interestingly enough, the reason that we pay attention to these guys is that there may be a benefit in enhancing cardiovascular health and reducing inflammation through their utilization. Another interesting compound is resveratrol, or resveratrol, I should say. And resveratrol is found in red wine, in grapes, in berries, and peanuts. And resveratrol has shown a potential as an antioxidant and an anti-inflammatory agent. Obviously, as I made mention of wine, remember that, again, this doesn't entail, a whole bottle of wine. It just basically means like a glass or two, right? So a modesty in the consumption of different substances is also a very important consideration. Now, let's take a look at something else that we sometimes see in different types of foods from a cultural point. So there's this compound called turmeric. And inside of turmeric, there's curcumin. And curcumin is known as an anti-inflammatory and antioxidant as well. And ultimately, when we take a look at some of the spices that are commonly utilized in Asian cuisine, we see that there's a heavy utilization of turmeric there. But ultimately, this also speaks towards the salubrious effects of eating certain foods. Another interesting thing is green tea. So it turns out that green tea is rich in what we call polyphenols and antioxidants. And green tea also appears to reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease and certain cancers. But remember also that it contains theobromine, which ultimately could also affect one's sleep. So it's important to be able to figure this out. Now, what appears to contribute to some of the protective effects of green tea also are substances that are called catechins. So there's some really interesting things to note in there. By the way, another very simple thing to reach for are berries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. Why? Because they're packed with antioxidants, vitamins, and also fiber. And remember, we want that good digestive movement going through because that helps with reducing inflammation and a lower risk of chronic diseases. Since we're on this topic, cruciferous vegetables are also very important. And vegetables that crunch like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale belong to this family of cruciferous legumes, and they're known for their high nutritional value. They also have a lot of fiber, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, and all of these have been, again, tied in with a reduction in certain types of cancers. Another interesting thing is garlic. And it's not just for warding off vampires, but there appears to be a reduction in the risk of cardiovascular diseases and certain types of cancers because garlic contains sulfur compounds, which are linked towards having health-promoting properties. Another very rich source of goodness comes from nuts, almonds, walnuts, pistachios. And the reason for that is that these contain healthy fats, fiber, vitamins, minerals, and with them may come a reduction of the risk of heart disease and an improvement in overall health. One of the things that I oftentimes espouse with my patients are Mediterranean diet. Why? Because when you think of Mediterranean diet, you're thinking about the high consumption of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, fish, healthy fats like olive oil, and numerous studies have shown that following a Mediterranean diet is associated with a reduced risk of chronic diseases and an increase in longevity. So, wrapping up this particular topic, the sense of gratitude that one has is in remembering that we can age in a healthy manner. We can try to beat some of the issues associated with what happens with our bodies as we're getting a little older. And remember that, supplements should not replace a balanced diet, but, it's always recommended that when we take a look at the needs that we have, well, bear in mind that sensitivities might vary among individuals, personal preferences vary also, and, checking in with one's doctor is always very important along the lines of adopting the best overall lifestyle approaches that we can have in being able to age in a successful manner. I thank you for joining us on the Gus Alba Perspective, and specifically